Today, I'm not going to give you a digital marketing strategy that you can apply directly to your business, because honestly, that's not how digital marketing strategies work. What I am going to do is share a framework that you can use to come up with the perfect digital marketing strategy for your business. Now, there's 4 steps in this process, and we're going to fill them in as we go along. The first step is to have a quick think about what we're going to leave behind, the stuff that isn't serving us. Now, if we're talking about 2024, I feel like there's a few things that we're going to need to leave behind in 2025. But some of the things that we tend to suggest businesses let go of are things like generating terrible copy with AI where they've put no effort in whatsoever, or making assumptions about customers and target audience without ever actually speaking to those customers and target audience. Of course, the danger of this is that you make assumptions about that customer, you build a strategy around those assumptions, and then the strategy doesn't work because that customer never actually existed. Another thing that you might want to let go of is copying strategies directly from other businesses. Even businesses that are in the same sort of industries. Other things that people sometimes want to let go of are copying marketing strategies from other businesses without making the changes, without customizing them to your business. And finally, let's make this the year that you're unafraid to test new things. So if there's anything that you've been doing that hasn't been serving you, the first step is to just write it down. This is the stuff we're going to let go of. Goodbye, get in the bin for next year. Okay, the next stage in our process is to take stock of what has been working really well for you. And there's 2 main areas that we're going to do this. The first area that we're going to take stock is in your budget and spending. So starting at the top level, what did we actually achieve with this year's budget? Then drill down further. Which are the higher spend areas, and did they generate ROI that you're expecting? For example, is each channel working hard enough for you, or are you putting spend there because that's just what we do? When we're working with clients, we break down the revenue generated by each different marketing channel. This really helps us and the client work out the ROI of every single area that they're investing in. That means we can have a really straightforward conversation that says, are we spending money in the most productive areas? Or could that budget better be deployed elsewhere? Of course, you've got to be careful to compare like for like here. There are some marketing channels that generate fast ROI, like paid ads, for example. There are others that generate a much slower ROI, but that can generate a huge return over months and years. So things like content marketing and SEO, for example. You might not see an ROI month to month on some of these things, but over quarters or a year, you should see significant return. And of course, you want to take stock a level deeper than this as well. Say that you're running paid ads on a few different channels. Well, which are the channels that are performing best for you? And then go a level deeper than that. Which are the particular campaigns? Which are the strategies that you're using which are working best for you? And which are the ones where actually they're not performing too well? You can take that budget and deploy it elsewhere. Now, there might also be some marketing tech in your budget and spending which maybe you're not using fully. Maybe you can downgrade some of your tool subscriptions, or maybe you can combine some. You might want to get a tool like Semrush, which has pretty much everything that you could want. You can get a free trial at thankyouninjas.com. Another area that you want to take stock of is where your best lead and sales are coming from. Now, it really helps to have good data. We'll come back to data a little bit later. Of course, it's a good idea to not just look at your best leads and sales, but go forward and look at where your best customers are, where are your highest spending customers, and which channel did they originally come from. This is all really important information as part of this take stock phase, which will inform your strategy building from here. A quick tip here, what you might find is that some of your digital marketing channels that are driving really good quality customers, for example, email marketing, you might not be putting that much energy and attention into. So they're generating a small amount of very high quality customers with relatively little attention, relatively little budget and focus. Those can be great channels to take into the next stage of this process, because if you increase the amount of energy you put into them, it's likely that they'll yield a really high return. So this isn't just about saying which are the digital marketing channels that are bringing me the most high quality leads and sales. It's about saying which channels are performing best given the amount of time and budget we're putting into them. Okay, so at this point we've figured out where we are. Now it's time to think about where we want to be. And we're going to start by setting some goals for the next year. We're big believers at Exposure Ninja of setting goals that cascade down from the business's goals. So for example, we've got a client that sets us goals like, we want to expand into a new territory this year and we need digital marketing that's going to bring in some leads and sales in a space that we're new to. Or we want to increase our website revenue 15% over the next year. And these are business goals that are tied to our favorite metrics, namely revenue. So these are targets that are set by the business and have very clear metrics to achieve. Now, you may of course set some specific goals as well, things like growing a certain audience in your email list or generating X number of conversions a month. But where possible, make these goals smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. Inside Exposure Ninja, we like to track all of our clients' goals in a spreadsheet month by month. So we'll set, for example, if we need to get to a certain number of leads per month, we'll set milestones each month for the number of leads that we want to be generating. That way we can see throughout the year whether we're on track, overachieving, or underachieving, and we can calibrate our actions accordingly. If you have very general goals like build a social media following or increase our engagement through email, it's very difficult to know whether you're actually achieving those goals or not. So we're big fans of specific targets and numbers that you can measure against where possible. Okay, so once you've got these goals, and by the way, it's a good idea to have as few goals as you possibly can. The more goals you have, the more confusing it gets and the more watered down each one of those goals is. Now, I've got 3 blobs on my framework here, but the likelihood is that this section will take the most time because this is where you build out detailed plans to achieve each of your goals. Let's say, for example, there's a business goal to increase revenue 20% over the next 12 months. And underneath that, you might have a marketing goal, which is increase your revenue from email marketing by 50% over the next 12 months. So you're then going to make a plan for your email marketing to achieve that email marketing goal. So this might be reviewing your current email sequences to see where they're performing, where people are dropping off, where the unsubscribes are coming from. You might be researching competitor email sequences, wireframing some new email designs, and so on. These plans are really important. We see lots of businesses that come to us with very clear marketing goals, but they really have absolutely no idea how they're going to achieve them. Now, it turns out that's okay because that's what we do for clients. But let's say, for example, that you want to increase the revenue through your website by 20% over the next year. What you need to spend some time on is working out exactly how you're going to do that. For example, are you going to work on improving your visibility in AI overviews in order to generate more traffic, in order to convert more leads? Do you want to improve the performance of your website? And exactly how are you going to do that? Are you going to add more calls to action across the site? Are you going to add pop-up CTAs offering downloadables and free guides to generate more email signups, which you can then use your fancy new email marketing plan to turn into money? It's a common mistake to set marketing goals and then have no plans to deliver them. Now, if you're like many marketers, at this stage, you're going to have loads of these plans and you're going to start looking at them and feeling a little bit overwhelmed. So you might need to start being a little bit brutal here. You're also going to want to think about the team that you've got available, so the time resource that you've got, and also the budget that you have as well. If or not all of these plans are going to be achievable with the team and the budget that you've got, then you're in a priority situation. You have to work out what the top priorities are and also what are the things that you can afford to kill off or postpone for next year. It turns out there's nothing less motivating than having big goals, amazing plans, and then setting off with absolutely no chance of achieving them because you just don't have the resource at your disposal. And by the way, if you're looking at all of this and thinking, I'm struggling to prioritize this, I'd really value talking to someone who knows this sort of thing inside out, does this all day, then contact the team at Exposure Ninja. This is what we do. We help clients build digital marketing strategies and then we execute on them. The first step to doing this is to request the free website and marketing review from exposureninja.com/review. So during this process, in the review form, we ask you some of the taking stock questions. We also ask you for your goals. We'll then do some analysis and suggest some of the plans that you might want to implement in order to get you there. This service is completely free of charge and it is fantastic. But not everyone is eligible. So you do need to apply for this. And to apply for this, just go to exposureninja.com/review. That's exposureninja.com/review. As a side note, having a third party sort of outsider help you with this process can be really beneficial. I know firsthand that when you're inside the business all day, every day, doing this stuff, it can be really difficult to step out and see things from a 30,000 foot view. Sometimes having an outsider's perspective shows you some obvious stuff that you either hadn't been seeing or been pretending not to see. So this review process is really, really useful as you're going through planning your digital marketing strategy. Now, I also want to talk about the importance of using data when you're building your strategy. As you're taking stock, you should hopefully be analyzing data that you have about your customers, about the performance of your different marketing channels. When you're setting goals, you should ideally be setting goals which you can verify your performance against using the data that you're collecting about your marketing performance through things like GA4. And then of course, the best plans have a data component to them as well. Let me give you an example. So one of our clients that we've won awards for, we built an incredible email marketing campaign that was very data centric. We used their data to segment their audience and personalize the emails that they were receiving. Now you may have heard me talk about them before because I absolutely love the work we did, but basically they're a fabric store and they have people buying fabrics with all different skill levels and experience levels of working with fabric. So they have professionals who spend all day doing fabric stuff, and then they have amateurs who just want to do a bit of quilting or something in their spare time. The challenge for us was, how do we build email sequences that take into consideration these completely different levels of specialism? And what we did is we actually used the customer data to do that. We actually asked the customers when they signed up which level they were at. We then used this data to segment the customers and send them in different automations. That meant that the content we sent to them was much more personalized and tailored to their experience level. So we got a much higher ROI than if we just put everyone in the same bucket and send them all the same series of emails. In fact, the campaign generated 13 times ROI, and we increased their total email subscriber base by almost 40% in just 6 months. Now those email automations are set up now. They will work for as long as they're left to run. So that ROI only increases over time. It's one of the great things about email marketing. But one of the filters I'd encourage you to look at this whole exercise through is how you're going to use your customers' data in the next year to build a marketing strategy which maximizes ROI. Now, another thing to think about when you're designing your marketing strategy is also to leave a bit of empty space in here as well. When we're building a plan like this, we're designing something that's going to run over 12 months, but we don't know everything that's going to happen along the way in those 12 months. Sometimes things pop up that we don't expect. For example, maybe there's some AI thing that comes out which causes a big shift in your space, or a pandemic. So it's a good idea to leave a bit of wiggle room with time and budget in your plans for the unexpected to come up. Of course, you're also going to review this strategy throughout the year so you can make changes on the fly. We tend to review our marketing strategies with our clients every quarter. We find that's a good frequency for allowing us to see where we're going with something without changing things too quickly before they've been allowed time to actually take effect. Okay, Tim, what about those things that we've never done before? Maybe we've never tested CRO. We don't know how well it's going to work. We don't know what sort of conversion rate should be possible on our website. That's absolutely okay too. And some of these things it is impossible to know until you've actually started doing them. So another really important part of this is giving your space the time and budget for testing and experimentation. If you're going into a new area for you, allow some spare budget for things that go wrong that you're not anticipating, or that take a bit longer to generate the results that you're expecting. Say that your website is underperforming and that you need a new website built because your conversion rate sucks. Well, it doesn't make any sense to then project that you're going to have an industry-leading conversion rate in the same year that you're building your new website, because it might take you time to refine and optimize based on the data that you're collecting about how people are using your website. So you do need a bit of flexibility in your plans. Remember, no plan survives first contact with the enemy and all that. So there you have it, a data-driven, adaptable framework for building your marketing strategy for the next year. Forget about copying trends or following the crowd or just copying word for word something that you read online. This is the year that you build a marketing strategy for your business. So again, figure out what you're going to let go of first, then take stock of where you're at the moment. Set some goals. These should ideally be cascading down from the business's goals. Set some marketing goals underneath them, and then build the plans that are going to achieve those. Embrace data and give yourself some space for testing and unpredictable things that pop up during the year. Now, at the start, we spoke about understanding your customer, and for any marketing strategy to work, you need to understand your marketing funnel. Watch this video to show how to map this out and why your marketing funnel might not be performing as well as it could do. Until next time, see you soon.